Welcome to the Select Board meeting Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Please join the board in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Sinesi?
Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29, 2023. This meeting will be conducted via remote means and in person. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting can do so in the following manners. Public access channels Comcast 25 or Verizon Channel 47, or watch the meeting as it is aired live at pactv.org. Members of the public who wish to participate during the meeting may do so in the following manner: Great Hall on the second floor of Plymouth Town Hall, and also via a remote option that is available on the town's website under the agendas and minutes on the home page. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Next up is a public hearing, all alcohol license in Holder Sand Bar Lounge, LLC, 150 Warren Ave. ML Patel, manager. In accordance with Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended, notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at the Plymouth Town Hall, 26 Court Street on Tuesday, August 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. to consider the application for an all-annual in-holder license from Sandbar Lounge, LLC, 150 Warren Avenue, Hamal Patel, manager. Description of premises is as follows. The licensed premises consist of 64-room motel with coffee shop and a lounge. There is an outside patio which extends along the ocean side. There are 3 exits from the street inside to the outside. There are 3 exits to the outside patio with exit stairs from the patio on the south end. Coffee shop, lounge, total area is 520 square feet in one room on one floor. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should plan to attend this meeting. I now declare this hearing open, and who will be presenting? Do you have anything you'd like to say, or not at this time? Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? No one on TV? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Please identify yourself for the record and make sure the green light's on.
Oh, I see. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, Martin Hemsley. I live at 200 Warren Avenue, Plymouth. So I'm a little under half a mile away from the Pilgrim Sands Motel. I prepared these notes and I sent a letter to the Select Board ahead of time expressing concerns about noise. We have had a chance just now to speak to the 2 applicants who've given us some assurances. I'd still like to explain why we're here and why we had concerns, because I want to make sure they're on the record and that they are dealt with. We have been in our house since 2019. We didn't have any problems until 2021, and we had very, very loud music playing at the Pilgrim Sands. They have a small patio outside where they have a band, but they have amplifiers that seem to be turned towards our home. The music was so loud we couldn't sit outside, and I complained to the hotel. I didn't get any satisfaction. I called the police several times. That was in 2021. Last year, the problem continued. I had to call the hotel, I think 14 or 15 times. I called the police 3 times, but with no discernible improvement. The only time it improved for a very short time was when the town clerk wrote to the then owners about our concerns. I met with the restaurant manager, and for about 2 weeks there was music, but it was not a problem. But then it went back to being the same problem again. We understand that the noise ordinance, the town's noise ordinance, provides that if amplified music can be heard more than 150 feet away from the source, that's an offence. We're over 2,000 feet from the source. And it's a very small patio. We can't understand why there have to be huge amplifiers there playing to a very small crowd. It's about the size of my living room. The times we've called the police, we've been told that the entertainment license overrides the noise ordinance, and based upon my lawyers and my understanding of that, that's not the case. The policy under which entertainment licenses are issued specifically talks about balancing the needs of businesses to run and have music if they wish, with the concern of residents to have peaceable enjoyment of their home. And one of the concerns I found is when we've called the police, they've said, well, they have a license, there's nothing we can do. And that's not the case. The license says the police should enforce it. So I don't know how that can be addressed, but my ultimate goal is to ensure that, not to prevent them having a license, to ensure it doesn't trouble me repeatedly whenever the weather's nice. When I want to sit outside, I can't do so. And so in the letter I sent some suggestions as to how that might be accomplished. We certainly want to work with the new owners to make sure that that works. But I think the key thing is that if there is a problem, there are ways that we can ensure that it will be enforced rather than we're just left week after week complaining with no result. So I appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wait a minute. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? No? You have any questions, Charlie, for the?
Yes, I do. I'd like the Patels to come up. I have some questions for Mr. Patel. Yeah, whoever wants to come up. I have some questions for the hotel.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, my name is Sunil Anshin, and we are co-partners. So mostly operations I'm handling in terms of the operation, and he's overlooking. So probably I can help you with your questions.
Okay, I read the letter from this gentleman, and I'm familiar with the place. I have a few questions for you, and I think this issue could be resolved fairly easily, I believe. And I can talk to this gentleman afterwards, but first of all, how long have you owned the hotel?
We took over in April 18th.
Of this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many hotels do you operate in overall?
In Massachusetts region, we have 8, and then we have Florida and New Jersey.
How many in Plymouth?
Plymouth, we have 2.
2.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you had any complaints in any of your hotels?
No, sir.
Okay. And I think we know that because we haven't had any complaints come before us. The bar itself is being run by, who's running the bar now? Is it the
It's
same?
been, we shut down when we took over because
Okay.
we had complaints the same like he mentioned
Okay, so
about.
it's not the same operators?
No, there is no operator. We're gonna manage ourselves.
Okay. So when the complaints, your complaints are from before they took over?
Yes.
So these are new owners, and you're coming in, and I'm glad you're coming in, because you're bringing to the attention of these gentlemen who, I don't know them, I've never met them, I know they're hotel guys, they have quite a few, I know their backgrounds. They own 2 plus now, this is the third,
No, this is the
Okay.
second one. Yes,
and you've had no complaints, and you own multiple,
yes,
so you're good operators.
yes, sir.
As far as we know, you're good operators. My question is, if you have the amplified music, which they can turn it up or down, but the way they were running it before, they had the amplifiers facing towards the homes, instead of having it facing towards the beach, towards Long Beach. It's a simple fix if you're gonna have entertainment, especially amplified entertainment. Just face it away from the homes, face it out to the ocean.
Yes.
And I don't think, you'll never hear it.
I think so long
I'm gonna talk to you, I'll ask you in a minute, so I think is that something you could probably do?
Definitely, we will definitely work, keeping in mind our other residents around.
Right.
We want to make sure, our guests also experience, pleasure way, and at the same time, we should not disturb any other
Yeah.
residents around.
But I will say, as somebody familiar with the restaurant business and the hotel business, that's a nice little patio out there with a beautiful view. And you do some business out there. You might think it's a small size your living room, but there's a lot of income and it helps to maintain that hotel. It's a short season in Plymouth. We don't get a long season for that kind of a view.
Yes, sir.
And, you should be able to take advantage of that view.
Yes, sir.
As long as you operate it responsibly, and I'm going to tell you, it is a very simple fix. And
Yes.
I saw you folks exchanging cards.
Yes.
I think you can work together. If there's problems, you're now on a first-name basis. And I think you're going to get along, great.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, you might see them coming in your establishment.
Yes, sir.
But
Definitely.
could I ask you some questions, sir? Sure. Other than that, the music, the noise complaint, any other complaints you've had?
No, it's simply the
That's it.
music. Yep.
So everything I said, does it make sense?
Yes, I would say that, musicians, I guess, bring their own amps in. They
Yeah.
have a habit of turning them up to ridiculous volumes.
Exactly, well, that's the manager on duty.
Yeah, I think that-
That's his responsibility to make sure, but
Yeah.
if you turn it around,
I think if it's turned around and it's a reasonable level,
but even if it's turned around, you should never hear it because it's
I-
going out that way.
I shouldn't. I don't know if that's...
Unless you're
on-
sitting at Sandy's, I don't think you'll hear it. So,
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that's a solution.
yeah, and
But
it-
the real solution, I think, is it should just be a tolerable level on the patio,
yeah,
and then I
absolutely,
definitely won't hear it.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
it sounds to me like these gentlemen want to do that, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've satisfied me, so
Okay.
thank you.
So John Finkett, Sims and Sims, if I could just add, what he's looking for here is essentially turn the speakers, as you point out, because that's logical, and we think it'll work. And then he wants a catch-all provision on there just so that it does work. If turning the speakers doesn't work, he still wants to not have that loud noise. That solution might have been tried before, we don't know. When it worked for 2 weeks, we suspect that what they did is turn the speakers, but nobody ever confirmed that for him.
I would say that if it doesn't work, and everybody's in the room here listening to this, come
Exactly.
back to us. Come before the board with the complaint, and we'll address that complaint, and then we have the right to change the license. So that's how I would handle it.
Certainly, we'd like to give the new management a chance to show that
Absolutely,
they
they're new.
can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
But you've also filled them in on a lot of information.
right.
These guys want to be around for a while. They want to be good neighbors.
Yep.
They want you coming into their establishment. You're right, you can walk there.
Right.
So, anyway.
Thank
thanks.
you very much.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the board to the applicant, or no? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing down, and bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve it as requested.
Motion by Mr. Blesser, second by Mr. Mahoney. Any further discussion? Mr. Blesser?
Yes,
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney? Yes. And myself, yes. Thank you. Now we have additional licenses with that license. Common Victular, Comprehensive Entertainment, 1, 2, 3. Sunday Entertainment, extension of hours, 1 a.m. Early Sunday sales. Outdoor amplified music permit, Monday through Sunday, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Moved by Mr. Mahoney. Second by Mr. Blesser. Mr. Mahoney? Yes. Mr. Helm?
I was going to ask if we could have discussion on it,
Absolutely.
because I want to ask a question of Mr. Hemsley,
Okay.
if you would come to the... Given the discussion while we were talking about approving your alcohol license, we're now on to the other licenses in conjunction. The last one is an outdoor amplified music permit, Monday through Sunday, 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. for DJ or bands. Are you okay with that? Given your letter, given your discussions with the owners and all that, are you okay that we give that an attempt, and if it doesn't work, you will come back?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding in the past was that there was entertainment Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some weekends, some weekdays, but only from 6:30 to 9:30. This is now 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week.
Yeah, I would imagine that the 2 p.m. part is probably Saturdays and Sundays. I don't think you're going to have outdoor DJ at 2 p.m. on a Monday.
I mean, I think my real answer is if the music's controlled, it doesn't matter when it is to me.
Okay,
So I'm
right.
hoping that that's going to be the solution.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
That was my only.
Any other discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And try to keep the volume down
Yeah.
and do it with your neighbor,
Keep them
so
under control.
we don't have to come back here and discuss it, okay? You both are out on the right foot, so that's the way it should be, work together. Thank you. Okay, we got licenses, permits, and petitions for polls. Any questions on those? Or does it, you want to take any of them separate? Do I have a motion to move them?
Motion to move them en masse.
Thank you.
We're talking about just the licenses?
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Helm, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Moving on to the administrative notes. There's 8. Any questions on any of them, or would you like to talk about any of them separately?
I request that we talk about numbers 4 and 5
Okay,
separately.
so do I have a motion for 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Mahoney, second by Mr. Blitzer. Discussion? Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Now we have administrative notes 4 and 5. Mr. Helm?
Yeah, the reason I wanted to bring this up was that they are about a request from the Affordable Housing Trust to remove a couple of members for non-attendance, and I wanted to give, if possible, the opportunity for those 2 members to speak on it, if they were here or if they're on Zoom.
Mr. Chairman, through the members of the board, we have, I received an email this morning that I did not forward along to you all. This is from Samantha Nichols, and I can read it to you if that works for you.
Sure.
Please do.
I have already served on this committee for 2 years due to circumstances beyond my control because of an admin error. I unfortunately missed 2 meetings. One, I did actually show up for not knowing that it had been postponed because of not receiving emails. The third, most recent meeting that I missed and was subsequently voted off the board was because I was not sent the Zoom link despite repeated requests to the chairperson, Kathleen Dunn. My car was unexpectedly in the shop. I do not feel that I should have been voted off considering my repeated attempts to be present. She stated she was a real estate agent. She served on the Historic District Commission for over 11 years. She sent that to me this morning.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
Want to take 5?
Well, since Ms. Nichols took the time to answer and has been involved in the town, in other committees over an extended period of time, I personally do not feel comfortable removing her from this board just based on a memo and an inclusion in it under administrative notes. Particularly since, as I said, she took the time to address it, and she's obviously concerned about this. So I cannot agree with removing Ms. Nichols. And given the nature of how this has come to us, I mean, it's a significant thing, removing people from boards and committees. And I'm not sure that a memo to us, I do not know if Mr. Asiradu is even aware of this. And, clearly, Ms. Nichols is, and I can't support her removal because of that. Mr. Asiradu, I'm kind of in limbo about. I don't like being in limbo because I'm not sure he's been given, for lack of a better concept, due process. And, and if this is of concern to the Affordable Housing Trust, I think it should be an agenda item that they come and speak, and Mr. Asiradu has the opportunity to appear or not. But right now, I can't support removing Ms. Nichols from the Affordable Housing Trust.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Harry with Ms. Nichols. I believe what I read that both from Ms. Dunn is that both committee members were notified of their absences and were going to be removed. And the fact that Ms. Nichols sent an email today, I would not take any action on removing her. With that being said, if it gets brought back to us, I would hope that Ms. Nichols is here, either in person or in Zoom, to be able to talk to us instead of just an email. But right now, I don't want to remove her. I don't think it's right at this point. As far as the other gentleman, he was notified according to what Ms. Dunn said, and I don't think she would not tell the truth to us. So, and he's not here. He didn't send an email. So I have no problem taking action on him. Thank you.
Did you have something to put in, Anthony?
Mr. Asradu has been non-responsive for quite some time.
But he was notified according to the letter.
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so you'd like to remove well, we're going to vote them. You can vote against it. How's that? So we'll take them one at a time. Administrative note number 4.
We need someone to move and a second.
At least for discussion and vote. Okay.
It goes away.
Well, I'm just going to say, I don't think these things appear here because people have nothing to do. If people aren't going to a meeting and they belong to be there, then they should be removed, regardless of whose car works and whose car doesn't. I mean, that accounts for one time. But, I mean, I don't think these boards and committees, and we've removed people before. So, you know, I'm going to take this a little further. I'm going to reach out to this committee and exactly see the attendance report and hear from them as a whole, why this happened.
I don't, excuse me, I don't think you have to reach out. I think Anthony has the.
No, I would like to reach out and do some homework on it.
Well,
So I'll tell you what, let's pull 5 too, till I get some
I'm
answers.
ready to make a motion on 5 right now.
I know you are.
Motion to approve 5.
Making a motion on 5. Do I have a second?
I'll second it for the point of discussion.
Discussion.
So I agree with my colleague, Mr. Helm. I think that I have no problem in a future meeting having an agenda item, and maybe we can have clarity on, to your point, all the attendance of you know, the members who make up that committee, but give these two individuals the opportunity to come in.
Mr. Chairman, I'm treating these two separate, okay? I'm treating both of these cases separate. You get one person that sent an email today explaining why she missed meetings and would still like to be on them. We have another gentleman who is non-responsive. He's been notified.
I'm clear what the circumstances
Okay.
are, so we don't have to keep repeating them.
So
So,
so that's why my reason for motion.
okay, because I'm the last person that wants to put this as a docket item. We got to run the business of the town here, and there's a lot of important things going on. I don't want to be holding kangaroo court.
So we're not
where I
gonna-
came
so
and
what-
I didn't come.
so
I
what-
believe we have a bylaws for these committees, and that's what they go by.
That's why I'm making the motion to remove this gentleman. And if,
Okay.
and instead of putting it for a future meeting and tying up the agenda like you just said. So I too take these committees serious.
Mr. Mahoney? No. Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
No.
Myself, no.
For the record, can you please state some of the mics weren't on?
Three noes and one yes. Harry was a yes.
Thank you.
Charlie, I'm sorry. Charlie was. All right. Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Please come up and identify yourself for the record and make sure the green light's on. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Al Donardo, Town Meeting Member Precinct 17. I live at 46 Sunflower Way, which is in Red Brook. I will be brief.
It's okay, you've got time.
Coming from a different community, I was spoiled because we were under MWRA water, and I've learned very quickly here in Plymouth that water is a major issue. And I just want this board and the public aware that at the last planning board meeting, the folks at Red Brook and Makepeace, and I want to say that I'm extremely happy with them, with what they built, what they've done, the concept. 99%, I'm extremely happy. I'm not here to criticize. But we've had some minor water issues with watering and watering restrictions, so much so that the next phase that came before the planning board 10 days ago, I think it was the 26th meeting, that the planning board put a restriction, or I should say a restriction that they're allowed to build this next phase, but to look at the water issue, what's going on at Red Brook. Why are we, although we're not under a long-term drought, we are under water restrictions. And I'm just concerned, and others are concerned, that if, God forbid, we're ever in a long-term drought, that would be a major problem at Red Brook. I know this is private water. It's not technically a town issue. It's sort of a quasi-town issue. If there's ever a crisis up there, it would be a Board of Health issue, and ultimately it would be a town issue. So we're just trying to stay proactive to what's going on up there. So we're hoping that the folks at Red Brook will get to the bottom of this. I don't want to get into the details of it, but most of that planning board meeting 10 days ago, over 2 hours of it was attributed to this one issue. So those that are interested in the details of it, I don't want to go over it tonight, but it was a very extensive meeting, very informative, and we're just hoping that we can get this issue resolved. From what I understand, we're at about 850 properties. We're going to max out about 1179 eventually, and eventually that's going to be turned over to us. So we just want to make sure that this infrastructure, obviously, is in place to sustain us for whatever we need. That's all I have to say. If anyone has any questions, I'm done with my...
Any questions? Mr. Donato, I did reach out to Lee Hartman earlier today, and I apologize for not getting back to you today. It's very hectic, but he did basically say that it's a private agreement between you all and Red Brook, just like Pine Hills. You know, they have their own utilities, and they have growing pain issues too there with their well. So not to say that I'm not interested in what goes on there, I very much am. But, to the letter of the law, that's really the agreement that there is right now. So we will keep monitoring it, and I know you will, and, we'll back you and try to help you, and hopefully there is no issue. So, but I just wanted you to know I did follow up on it and had a conversation with Mr. Hartman, and that's what I was told.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to thank the planning board for they used what authority they have to speak on the issue. That was a unanimous vote by the planning board, so they are concerned about this at least. So,
That's why you always see this board here always talking about moving water and, booster stations, and because it's not just Red Brook or even the Pine Hills, it's town-wide. The more the town, grows, the more needs there are for everything, so, and we have to have that.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to speak on the public comment? No? All right. First Thanksgiving remailing program. I think it's Mr. McKay.
I thought I was going to fool you with my costume. You know who I am, though. Thank you.
We all do.
I'm going to make it brief. This is the third annual remailing program, and I don't want to go over this in detail because you are somewhat familiar with this from the past years. And so I did want to go over some history. That's too fast. So we started in 2021 with this remailing program. And remailing programs are very simple. They're done by towns around the United States where you can attach the name of the town to a holiday. And the name of Plymouth is attached to the first Thanksgiving. This is where it all started. So we took a look at other programs that do similar things, and the largest program is Santa Claus, Indiana. And the reason they're the largest program is this is some statistics on greeting cards and how many that are mailed. So there are over 1 billion greeting cards, in fact, 1.7 billion greeting cards that are sold. And of those, 1.3 billion are put in the mail stream around Christmas time. There's 145 million Valentine's Day cards that are sold. And of those, about 109 million are put in the mail stream. And then number 3 is Thanksgiving. And there are about 17 million Thanksgiving cards produced every year. And of those, about 12.8 million go into the mail stream. So what we're doing with our remailing program is we're trying to get a large portion of those 12 million cards that are mailed around Thanksgiving time, put through Plymouth, Massachusetts, and put on with a special cancellation. There are other cities that do this. Anybody who has a name affiliated with Christmas does it. There are about 87 of those, almost 90. Valentine's Day there's about 35 that participate. St. Patrick's Day, there's about 12 cities that you can affiliate with that program. And of course, since we're number 3, we like to think we can get close to the top 2. Number 2 on the list is Loveland, Colorado, and they receive 120,000 cards from around the United States and the world to participate in their remailing program. And one of the things that they've done in the past that we're starting this year is they have students design the artwork for the cancellation. The largest program is Santa Claus, Indiana, and they get 400,000 cards sent to them every year for cancellation and remailing. So we're trying to be number 3, and we started this 2 years ago in 2021, and one of the ways we've started the program is we solicit businesses and organizations, but we also give away free cards. And so I dress as a turkey and run around the town giving away 5 free cards under the condition that they send them back to us and they put them in the remailing program. So these are some statistics for the first 2 years of the program. In 2021, you've seen this before, we gave out 6,000 cards. About 4,300 were returned to us to be included in the remailing program. An additional 17,000 were given to us by businesses and other organizations. We did extend the program through Christmas mailings. And the first year, we mailed over 21,000 cards. And at the bottom of the picture, you can see the postmark that we used. It says, "Give thanks." It's a picture of a cornucopia, and we had the date March 10th, 2021. The second year in the program, 2022, we gave out less cards to individuals, but we got more cards back through businesses and organizations. We did extend the program through Christmas to take advantage of the Christmas mailings. And last year we did about a little over 44,000 cards in the program. So where are we today? We're kicking off the program for 2023, and we're looking to do better than we did last year. We're looking to do over 50,000 cards. And this is the first year we've got student participation. And the items over here show student submissions into the program. We've got submissions from the New Testament Christian School in Cedarville, grades 7 through 12, and they submitted 15 pieces of artwork for our consideration. So we're going to be picking one of these artworks that were done by one of the students. We're going to be submitting it to the Postal Service, and they will authorize to use for this year's postmark one of these pieces of artwork that was done by a Plymouth student. So we expect that will generate more mailings and more interest in the program. And these are some of the things we've done in the past, and that's the end. So thank you very much, and we'll keep you posted on how well we do this year.
Thank you, George. Any
Thank you.
questions or comments to George?
Thank
No.
you very much.
Thank you. Waterfront District Zone Height Restriction Bylaw Proposal by Precinct 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, for the record, my name is Dale Weber. I'm the current chair of Precinct 3, where it all began. Just like to read something quickly into the record that states why I'm here tonight, and I'm joined with some people, some delegates from the precinct, none of who are bashful, and I anticipate they'll have some things to say as well. So I'm here tonight to provide you some feedback as we move this issue towards other boards, the planning board and town meeting. That being that we would like to have the planning board consider amending the town's zoning bylaw that establishes a new building height at 35 feet and lowering that height to 25 feet in the slim area of the waterfront district zone, and to get the select board's support for that initiative as this issue is developed for town meeting action. This would apply to any new building on the ocean side of Water Street, from Caswell Lane, south on Water Street to Union Street, turning east on Union Street, and again on the ocean side of the street to the Plymouth Yacht Club. Or more simply stated, from Nelson Park to Stevens Field on the ocean side. As you all will recall, the precinct went through a long and arduous process recently when a developer wanted to build a new building to a 45 8-foot height at the corner of Water and Union Streets, right on the edge of the historic district and literally right on the ocean's edge. With your support, that plan was defeated, and we thank you for that. That matter, however, has engaged the precinct to prevent a recurrence. Issues of concern we have discussed are sea level rise, climate change, and when seeing the proactive steps the town itself has undertaken with the new construction of a new seawall around its own sewer pump station on Water Street, it brought a new light on this subject for us. Add to this our desire to preserve the integrity of the historic appeal of the area, and that any new construction as allowed could impact that, and you will hopefully understand where we are coming from. Hopefully you can agree that this small but important area is in peril to vertical sprawl that is better situated in other areas of the town. We hope you can support our initiative and engage the appropriate departments and committees and boards in our town to get this done. I will add that I have heard from people on this issue that are not in support of it. I just want to state that it's not our intent to impact anyone negatively. I believe, and I know there are more people educated on this matter than I am, but I believe the issue that we are proposing adds another step to the process that someone might be going through to develop a new parcel or a modification to the height. I believe that's called a special permit. But we will leave that for the planning board to educate us, and it's our goal to ask the planning board to amend their own zoning bylaw. We are coming forward as a default should that not happen, and we will proceed in a manner after we caucus based on where we're going and what support or lack of support we get. So there are others that probably want to speak on this, but if you have any questions of me while I'm here, I'm here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Mr. Weber, so where are you in the process? Are you, perfect world, looking at an April of '24 article, if you're successful?
No, we have an article that's already, we have a placeholder
You have a placeholder,
for this October's town meeting.
and so I believe the warrant closes at noon on Friday? So who are you looking to act on that? So how did that occur, and what's going to guarantee that that moves on to October?
Well, we'll find that out tomorrow when we go to the planning board.
Okay, so that's the big step. That's the big initial step there.
Yeah, but the way your schedules work, we wanted to come in and visit you first, get your feedback, and hopefully relay that to the planning board. Tomorrow night, 7:05.
Okay. And how long has this initiative been being worked on?
This has been being discussed for a good year now, and before that, it was discussed not in a formal process, but there always has been discussion, but things that have happened just outside the parameters of the historical district down on Water Street have really put the pedal to the metal on this issue and accelerated our involvement in wanting to preserve the integrity and the historical, well, while we have historical reference in Precinct 3, we want to maintain that. I mean, this is, after all, as you've heard me say many times, this is where it all began. We don't want to see that slip away, and we don't want to see things like we're seeing that, for lack of a better term, they don't fit in the precinct. And what we're trying to do is coexist. We understand progress. We understand the business community and their needs, but we don't think that anything that we're doing here in this initiative impacts that other than perhaps creating another step and another set of eyes to look at something so that something doesn't happen that has happened down on Water Street.
So I like the term vertical sprawl. I mean, that is completely accurate. You know, it's obviously, it's, you know, building out of suburban sprawl, which this area has suffered from too much of it since the 70s. And I agree with you on certain aspects of this. And obviously, we can't get to, this community can't get to town meeting quick enough to expand the historical area, okay? But my question is, I mean, 25 foot, how does it work if somebody has a property and they sell that property to someone? Does the new owner restrict it to 25? Or if the existing owner moves forward with a proposal, are they grandfathered in? Something like that.
I think that's a question for the planning board, but the way we are looking at it is that an amendment to the zoning bylaw would be prospective. And it would be prospective to any new construction in the zone that the planning board helps us define. There is a waterfront harbor district now. What we're asking the planning board to do is to create a overlay district that encompasses the area that I said. Oceanside from
Stevens.
Nelson Park to
No.
Stevens Field.
Mr. Helm?
I'm gonna ask a few questions and make, you know, and I totally understand where this is coming from. I just want to say that at first, so please take these questions in the spirit that they're meant of making sure that the right things are done, rather than move ahead or try to push through something. Where did the concept of 25 feet come? Has this been run by architects? As do we have any idea what kind of structures could or could not be built? I believe that 25 feet makes a two-story building nearly impossible. But where did the 25 feet come from?
There is no scientific research that was done to create the 25-foot zone. I don't know how you could not build a second story at 25 feet, since most places are 8 to 9 feet tall in each floor. Some go to 10 feet, but 20 feet with a attic space above that at 5 feet, I mean. But again, Harry, Mr. Helm, it's an issue of creating another step in the process, and I believe that step would be called a special permit that puts another whole set of eyes on things so that we don't get into the scenario that we are now living with.
Sure, and all I'm saying, Mr. Weber, is that for presentation of the warrant article, I think it would be a good strategy to have consulted with an architect to determine what 25 feet means, so that it's not just up to people who don't do this sort of thing professionally. It's a suggestion. In terms of special permit, and I'm not sure, I mean, it sounds to me like from this overlay district, you are exempting from the 25-foot any existing structure, just only new construction, okay? That might be problematic, because when you apply, you may find out, and the planning board will certainly weigh in on this tomorrow night, you may be creating a district of pre-existing non-conforming structures. That means everything in that district included, there are a couple houses, there are a few houses in there, since it's on just the water side, it's not on the inland side of Water Street. If you move to the inland side of Water Street, there are more houses involved. And if the owner of that structure wants to do pretty much anything that requires a permit, like, say it is one of the 2 or 3 houses that would be in this, they want to put a deck on, okay, that would require a special permit in this because they are a pre-existing, non-conforming structure. So, I mean, I'm not sure, and I'm sure the planning board, they know a lot more than I do about this, will be able to discuss with you this concept of only new structures, okay? But I will say that the businesses on the wharf would be part of this, I'm imagining. And just to let you know, all of the area that you're talking about is in the FEMA AE flood zone, which has a height determination of 14 feet, which means you cannot, barring a special determination by a surveyor, you would have to begin building at 14 feet. If you build a new structure, if you improve a structure that exists to a value of over 50% of the assessed building value, FEMA requires that the project be put on piling. Okay, and they're currently saying that the AE flood level, luckily it's not a VE flood level, but the AE flood level is 14 feet. So, say, somebody comes in and buys 42 degree, or buys, one of the restaurants down there, and they want to rebuild it, okay, it will probably be more than 50% of the value of the structure, not the total value of the land, but the value of the structure itself, okay? They will be required to begin the structure itself at approximately 14 feet, maybe a couple feet below that, but about that. And that eats into the 25 feet. And I just wanted to point that out, and the question about whether or not you can do an overlay that only specifies new construction and does not create, these pre-existing structure or permitting problems that would have to go to the ZBA. So it's just, those are just my thoughts when I read this about nothing's easy, and I think that trying to address this, I totally understand it. But nothing's easy, and there are always complications. And, I think that a good strategy moving forward is to look into those complications so that, they get answered. And also, one last thing that I'd like to point out for everybody, because I've heard a lot of misconceptions on this. 5 and 7 Water Street are not, or are in the historic district. They are not outside of the historic district. They are in the historic district. So that, that's a whole other ball of wax with the Historic Commission. But just so everybody is clear, when you add 5 and 7 Water Street into this discussion, you are talking about buildings that are in the historic district that were given the okay by the Historic Commission. So anyway, take that input as you feel you would like.
Good information, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Weber, thank you for your presentation. I'll start out by saying the 35-foot height, I don't want that to go any higher. I'm not in favor of that 45-foot cupola they wanted to do. I'm glad that was voted down. It was the right thing to do, but the 25-foot restriction is just, it's just too restrictive. I've talked to a lot of the waterfront businesses. I talked to them this morning and visited a few places, and they're vehemently against this. A couple of them have projects they're planning on doing that they're not going to go over 35 feet, but they're probably going to be over 25 feet. Some renovations they're doing, and this would definitely curtail their plans if this was allowed. I know East Bay Grill did a new kitchen with storage upstairs, and I believe that's over 25 feet. That wouldn't have been allowed if this bylaw was in effect. It's just, I think it will negatively affect economic development down in the waterfront. And most of that land down there is town-owned land. And I think if we do our jobs, all that land, I think we should be able to control what happens on those properties. So at 25 feet, I just don't think, I don't think that's the way to go. And I understand completely, we're trying to protect that, the quaintness of our town, that beautiful waterfront. I know there's a couple of buildings that have gone in that are controversial because of how big they are, but 25 feet, it's just, I know the businesses, everybody I've talked to so far is absolutely against it, so, and for good reason. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say, I had a couple emails myself on the height factor of it, being the 25 feet, and same thing that the others mentioned. 7 feet, I think it was Woods, 7 feet, he'd have to be up anyway to start with the new flood zone areas, and then he wouldn't be able to put his addition on as it's written right now, being proposed. And I talked to somebody else that said that there'd be a lot of flat roofs. And I don't know what you'd think about that, but just think about it for a second. I really think the town should do a master plan, if you will, a real one. Spend a dime, you get what you pay for, and do it right. I understand the concern 100%. There's nobody more on that wagon than I am, expanding historically, and I've been out to these meetings and I've expressed it, but I think it needs to be expanded. But I would like to see it done professionally so that every section of our government will be following the same path. I think, the cow's out of the barn on some of it already, but there's still time. We have to decide as a community, do we want that historic? I think the answer is yes. Economic development plays a factor into that. Where, when, how, traffic. There's so many things that need to be looked at. And I would support any portion of asking for money or funding for a master plan for this community, a real one. The last one that we got was, it had a few voids here and there. And I think we can do a much better job, and then we can all have input on that and put all our ideas in and all that and see what they say at the end result. Maybe some things we're not all gonna like, but you'll have it there to look at, and as boards change and people change and so on and so forth. I was in town, not to get off the subject, but this fits into what I'm saying, so I'm gonna say it. Saturday night, I was down on the waterfront at 6 o'clock. There wasn't a parking space anywhere. I ended up in the bank parking lot, the old 5 there, and pretty much illegal, but all right in there, I guess. They were shoving them every which way, and I was all right. But the point is, we keep adding these restaurants, and they're all beautiful, and all these things, and yet we don't address the simple thing of parking, where people are gonna park. And eventually, I say it every time I get a chance, it's gonna hurt us big time. It's gonna hurt the people that have these businesses down there, because people are gonna be doing this. They're gonna say, you know what? You already see a lot happen with people just going down the Cape for whatever reason, for parking. But I do have some concerns with the height. I definitely support it to some point, but I think we need to take a little more time and look at it. But the planning board will have a lot more to weigh in on tomorrow. So, but I give you hats off for what you're trying to do, because I definitely like the idea. It's just, how do we get there at this point? So. Did you want to vote on this one, or no? Not at this point, right?
No vote needed.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. Fall town meeting warrant article discussion. Mr. Mahoney?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the board approves sponsoring an article for October town meeting to approve, to get town meeting to approve the newly negotiated pilot program with Holtec.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Mahoney, second by Mr. Helm. Discussion? Mr. Blitzer?
Yes.
Mr. Helm?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney? Yes. And myself, yes, unanimous. Town managers report?
Just a couple quick items of note. So the reverse 911 system that Mr. Quintal, you asked about last 2 weeks ago now, that is available through the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department. So what we're doing right now is we're looking into the process, and we're going to have a training for our department heads in the coming weeks, and that'll go live. But I will just want to point out one major thing here, is that the only ones who are guaranteed a message is if you have a landline at your home. If you have a cell phone, you need to call in, you need to add on, you're going to need to be added to the system. So there's going to be a lot of marketing that goes on with that, so people know and understand that if you don't have a landline anymore and you want to be part of the system that's tied to your address, you have to add your cell phone on there. So there'll be a big marketing push from us as well. But the only people we can guarantee to get to right now is anyone who's signed up with a cell phone and a landline.
Could I maybe make a recommendation of putting a mailer in with the tax bills? You know, just a one-page, yeah, the water bill, whatever, yeah, something like that. No, nobody has a dog. But, yeah, I think that would be helpful in reaching out to the people with cell phones, because the people understand the inconvenience of not having water or whatever it might be, but the part that they don't like is not being told. So I'm really glad to hear that you're addressing that, and
So I won't guarantee the mailer, but I'll follow up with you.
oh, yeah, we'll see what it would be, what it would cost.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then speaking of mailers, if you remember, last fall town meeting, the town meeting voted to establish the Elderly and Disabled Tax Fund. So we took in our first year's worth of money. It came into $11,000. So what we're going to ask is that committee to come in to a future select board meeting to give a presentation to the board about what the criteria is for someone to apply for that. Because again, it was specifically created and designed by that committee. So we want to hear for the public what their thresholds are and how to qualify and how to apply. So that'll be coming up at the end of August.
Okay.
The last piece is Stevens Field project was opened up on Monday, yesterday, and the project budget unfortunately came in roughly $350,000 over the initial dollar amount that was proposed and approved. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple different things from ARPA, and if there's some things we can clear out, I think we'll be back to the board to approve the funds. It will be more than $350 because you got to remember the initial estimates that we had included contingency in there. The bids came in higher than that. We want to add more contingency on. So even though by dollar amount it was $350, it's going to be a larger number to you guys. So just more to come on that, but that'll be very soon because we only have 30 days to award that contract. And that was it. Any questions on any of those?
Any questions for Mr. Brothers?
All right, thank you.
Select Board open discussion, new business? Letters? Mr. Helm?
I received an email from a citizen, and it with thoughts about Morton Park, and suggesting that on Saturdays and Sundays, Morton Park be opened and collecting fees at 7 a.m. as opposed to 8:30 or 9, whenever it is, because they have noticed that every morning, by the time they go by at 8:30, there are carloads of people already there and filling up the parking. And that's an interesting idea, but it reminded me that we had a presentation about changes to the Morton Park, the traffic, what was going to go on there in terms of enforcement. And we've had a good month of summer. And I would like to request, at the chairman's behest, that we have the Morton Park Group, the, I guess, Beaches and Pond Committee, and the police chief come in and give us a presentation on how things are going. Okay, because, you know, this seems to allude to something that we're very familiar with, the flexibility of the people to get around what's put in place. So they aren't waiting until they have to pay the fees. They're coming in before everybody else, so they're coming in extremely early. So it just kind of brought up the idea that I would like to have a presentation among the people who are stakeholders in it on how they feel that it is going.
Fine.
Any old business?
I don't know if it's old business, but it's certainly sad business. I just want to send my condolences to the family of Dale Melanson, one of our heroic firefighters who battled the ALS, battled it for a few years, and he was not just a heroic fireman, but he was heroic in the way he battled that disease. He's an inspiration to, I think, everybody that knew him, and I can tell you, he was definitely an inspiration for me. And I just want to keep his family, his wife, Colleen, the rest of the family in our prayers. And I want to thank Dale for his service to the town of Plymouth, and may he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to the Select Board's meeting. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thank you. 2 weeks, right?